Let's start talking about sharpening. We already talked a lot about frequency separations, and the sharpening it's pretty related with this technique. With the sharpening, what we will want is try to isolate different um, textures or texture sizes and increase the micro contrast between these textures and the surrounding area. Let's stop talking about the technical stuff, and first of all, let's understand the basics. Maybe the most common technique for increase the sharpening of an image in Photoshop is using the high pass filter. For this, after you finish to edit the image, to clean the image, to fix the color, etc., the last step will be sharpening the parts of the image you want. For this, you will create an empty layer. You will stamp all the visible layers. In my case, I press Alt, Command, Shift E or Alt, Control Shift E in case you're using Windows. And I will use this for sharpening with high pass filter. Selecting this layer, I will go to Filter, Other, High Pass. In here, I will select a radius, like for example, let's use 5, and I will change this blend mode to something like, for example, overlay. If we see a quick before and after, we will see we did increase the sharpening a lot of this image. But part of this, I want to show you something pretty particular about the high pass filter. For this, I will move to this edge and I will go to filter, other, high pass. Take a look to this white edge and the left black edge. The way is trying to create the micro contrast is of course increasing the luminosity in some part and darkening the luminosity in the other part. So this will increase the contrast in the small areas. Also in here in the eyeline you can see kind of a overlapped white line, and for some situations this filter will work just fine. If you want something quick, it's okay, but if you want something precise, try to follow me and let's keep together for a moment, so we will keep talking about this and learn a different way to do it, which will avoid this awful technique or result. For this, let's leave this like in here. Let's use overlay, or yeah, let's use overlay. Let me show you how it looks, the image. This is sharpening with the high pass. Instead of this, what we will do is the same thing we do when we want to create a frequency separations. We will set everything in one layer. I'm gonna duplicate this layer. The bottom layer is in frequency separation, is for the color. In this case, we will use it only for the matte. This is the sharpening with, in this case, I want to show you how to use median. Let me blur the color layer. I will turn off the sharpening layer so you can take a look. I will go to filter, noise, median, and let's select something really high, something like maybe 7 or even. Okay, let's use 7. I will go to the sharpening layer. I will go to image, apply image, and I will select the color layer like in the frequency separations technique. The difference will be the next one. We will use overlay instead of using linear light, and we will remove or delete the color layer. Now, if I turn this layer on and off, you will see an increase in the sharpening in the image. The good part of using median is you will avoid the halo, the white edge in increasing over. You will have a big white gap at the side of the dark areas, and in the opposite you will have the other halo in the shadows. So with this, you will minimize or avoid the aspect of these halos. We can talk a little more or a lot more in deep about sharpening, but I don't want to confuse you with many technical things at this moment because it doesn't matter. One more thing, if you want to isolate the parts you want to sharpen or only reveal some parts, you can use a layer mask and paint with white in the areas you want to increase sharpening, let's say only in the eyelashes. And if we want to bring more intensity to this contrast, we can change the blend mode from overlay to, for example, linear light to bring this to an extreme. Be careful with the colors. It will affect how the colors will look. Don't feel tempted and decrease all the saturation before start doing this, no matter if you saw that for make the high pass filter, you need to desaturate the layer. Just be careful and use the proper radius for the place you want to. What you can do if you want a kind of fine tuning of the intensity is set up brightness and contrast adjustment layer just over the sharpening layer and click this button for create this brightness and contrast layer as a clipping mask. And now what you can do is increase the contrast of this sharpening layer and the aspect will be more visible. Let me use legacy for make this even more visible so you can understand what I mean. Of course, this is awful, but if you select something like maybe this, you will be able to see this in the video. Again, try to, instead of working lowering the opacity in case this is too much, try to play with the blending modes or redo the work again with a smaller radius or a different radius when you create the blur. This is how you can sharpen things in Photoshop without creating nasty halos. I will create an extended video in the future for this, but for the moment, I think you have everything you need for understand how the sharpening works and start to using this technique right away. See you in the next video. Bye bye.